Well, for the first time ever, KnoxvilleDirtDigest.com is on the air with an official podcast, and I had to grab somebody local because, hell, it's still wintertime right now. And what better than Joe Beaver, who has an event coming up this Saturday night? But before we talk about this event, we have to talk about Joe himself. And the bottom line is this. I've known you since you were way, way shorter than you are right now. Still smiling all the time, though. I still can't figure that part out. But let's talk about your racing career in general as far as when you started, clear back even before Knoxville.
Just like most kids, started in go-karts, started at the Newton Kart Club running every Friday night, and, did that through my, when I was 12 years old on through my teenage years, kind of took some time off for sports through high school and college, and then, kind of took a couple years off of just partying and hanging around and making it through life and working, and then we decided we were going to get a sprint car, and went and got a Maxim off of Butch Levitt, went and put together an IMCA sprint car motor, and we took off, and we were planning on racing, Mason City every week. Well, we got up there and we ran one race,
right.
And they closed the doors on the sprint car program there. So then we ended up kind of traveling around a little bit. We ended up racing I-80 over in Greenwood every week.
What year are we talking?
1998.
1998.
1998, yep.
Wow, over 20 years in the business now.
It is. It's getting crazy. Actually, the first time I got in the sprint car, though,
right.
Let's go back to that.
Yeah.
We actually brought it out for practice night at Knoxville. And
how'd that go?
That didn't go very good.
Give us details.
Started going.
Yeah.
It was just hit the gas coming out of the corners, down the straightaway, ease out of it, be smart about it. Well, we started getting a little confident, and we put the foot in the bucket. Well, when I went to let off, didn't work. The throttle was stuck.
Oh, no.
Ended up down in the infield in turn 3 in the drainage ditch, going upside down, woke up in the ambulance. So, got to the hospital. My mom showed up, and
so it KO'd you.
It KO'd me a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was pretty fun. And before all the safety equipment, it hurt a little more than it does now.
Is that why you get out smiling now? Because it doesn't hurt as much as it did the first time you crashed in
Knoxville? I tell you
Knoxville?
what, the first time I had a Hans device on,
Yeah.
It was like, got up the next morning, it was like, this ain't so bad.
Bring it on, huh?
Bring it on, So all the stuff they have now, it does save the drivers. A little, shout out to KRCO for supplying all the equipment for us drivers in Knoxville. That's a big deal. So, so we ended up there, and Mom showed up at the hospital. She said, "You sure you want to do this?" And I said, "Absolutely,"
Right.
So then it took us a little while to get back going. We ended up, like I said, going to Mesa City. Ended up by I-80 the rest of the year, running weekly over there, which was a lot of fun. Won a couple features at the end of the year by the time we got going. Ventured on into Knoxville the next year and got our pee-pee kicked in the dirt. And, back in the day when there was 50-some cars there for the 360s every week, it was
that was a light night, too.
It was a challenge,
Right.
It was the working up, and then finally, maybe getting to pass a couple cars and maybe hear one in the heat race, and then next thing you know, you're in the B main instead of the C main. Next thing you know, you're making the back of the A, and, it just kind of progresses from there. And I think it was 2001 we won a feature, I think. So
you talk about your mom asking if you still want to do this or not. I mean, you were kind of born into this deal. I mean, your dad, I don't even know what year he started wrenching on these things. Way back when, him and Mike Brooks ran around together and did a lot of feature wins out here. I mean, it was just crazy. But your dad's been gone for a few years, and for those of you that didn't get an opportunity to meet John, I'll tell you what a great guy. I mean, just the knowledge. I wish I had, my pinky had the knowledge he had on sprint cars.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I spent a lot of nights, laying in a tire as a little kid in the race shop.
Right.
Whether it be, Mike Brooks' shop, or we were just, somebody local called and needed squaring the rear end, or, you never knew, Bob Trostle's shop. I'm kind of blessed to be, I think back in the day, all the drivers I got to know and be around, I didn't really realize it I was a super fan, don't get me wrong.
Right.
The 55 car in your driveway or the 12 car in your driveway, big deal back in the day. But all the pictures of when I was a baby standing in a car, all the stuff you can't take back. So I mean, that it was a big deal, and it was a big influence. And I'm surprised it took us as long as it did to get in a sprint car. If I'd have stunk more at sports, we'd have probably been racing
Like I say, because you were big on sports too. I mean, besides the
Yeah.
racing thing, I mean, you went to Knoxville and big in sports. Did you ever look back and think, gosh, did I take all this for granted or not? I mean, because you were around some big names growing up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I took it for granted. I mean, I look back now and I'm, you know, just as we've had to miss a couple nights over the last few years just for maybe crashing or blowing a motor or whatever. And, you know, and I was talking to somebody yesterday. I go, I'm just as big of a fan as I am a driver.
Right.
You know, I mean, so, you know, if I stopped racing, I wouldn't go away. You know what I mean? I'd still want to, that's what I do is I watch races and, you know, I love it. So, you know, being around those people when I was younger, I mean, was an awesome opportunity, you know, and I don't think I take anything for granted. I'm more of a kind of a historian now and like look back and respect those people more than anything just because of, I don't want to say the way things have gone, but it's just so different now.
I look at
those guys that had to fight and clawed and were living out of their rigs and going from here to there and, you know, doing it on limited budget and,
Sure.
you know.
I look at some of the racers today, not so much here locally, but I look at NASCAR and stuff like that, and you see some of these younger guys are like, I know they're taking it for granted. I mean, they just, maybe it's the old guy in me too, I don't know, but you just see it that they're not appreciating what they do have, and I think that's probably one thing that you were taught is, you know, this is what we got, and if it does blow up, we're parked for a couple weeks.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, and just, you know, people give me crap like I don't have new paint schemes and stuff all the time, but you know what? It's a lot of that money, you know, what money we have to work with.
Sure.
A lot of that doesn't get spent on that kind of stuff. You know, we've been running out of the same trailer since 2001, 2002. You know what I mean? We just have the same old truck. You know, that's just kind of what we do. We don't try and be the show, you know. We try and get to the track every week.
Right. That truck you got, in fact, was a rebuild your dad did.
Yeah,
I remember that truck. It's Kevin Rogers had before that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and thing still runs down the real good. So.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, some of those things, you know, like, you know, everybody comes out with their new paint schemes and this and that, or gets a new car every year. We don't do that stuff. We do a lot of swap meeting through the winter to help pay the bills, and obviously we have our fundraiser coming up tomorrow. So, you know, we hustle and go and go to work every Monday and work as many hours as we can through the winter to save up money so we can do this thing, you know.
You talked about your feature win being around 2001. Do you remember who your crew was back then? Everybody on the crew?
Well, my dad,
right?
Phil Sage, he's been with me.
Yeah.
Through go-karting and everything. My wife Joanne was there.
I'm going somewhere with it because your crew's almost the same as it was back then too, which is a miracle these days.
Yeah, and it really is. I mean, it's really just the same, pretty much group. You know, we got Hube helping us now, but of course my dad's not there now.
Right.
You know, so it's we just kind of had, you know, Andy Bates is helping us, and it's kind of always stayed the same. I haven't you know, we brought in a couple people, you know, to help and kind of get us after Dad was gone, just to kind of get us back going. Kind of, you know, I kind of want to throw in the towel there for a little bit, and nobody else wanted to, and you know, it was dang close to doing it, you know, just because it's a tough time.
Yeah.
But then once you get through that little rough patch and kind of get things going your way, and kind of, you know, a lot of it I had to learn, you know, as much knowledge as my dad had, I kind of let him do a lot of this stuff, and the stuff I didn't want, I just trusted him to do, I just let him do it. So, you know, it was it was like me being a rookie again. I had to learn some of that stuff. Like, I didn't know how to set valves, you know, I didn't know how to do the fueling on the engine. So it was just kind of one of those deals where I had to relearn all that stuff, or not relearn it, I had to learn all that stuff that I could have had the knowledge if I would have let him teach me like he wanted to. Instead, I was like, no, you do that and I'll do this and this, you know. So just when you don't have anybody there to hold your hand, it's a whole different deal building a race car or setting the fuel, because I mean, Knoxville's so volatile on engines, you know, that I mean, you can be done practice night, you know, if you don't have things right. So
what was it like communicating with someone new besides your dad? Because again, he was there from word go, and you had to not only learn the stuff like you talked about, but you had to learn how to talk to your crew again, because I've seen you and your dad talk when he came in and out for a race, and he had enough knowledge in his head. He kind of knew what was going to happen anyway, car-wise, but what was it like trying to work with the crew after that?
Well, I mean, you know, I kind of know what I want, and I'm also not very picky at all. So, I mean, I think it makes it easy for people to come in and work with me just because they're going to ask me how it was, and I'm going to say, probably whether it stunk or not, I'm going to say, it was all right,
Right.
But it's just a matter of getting to the point where we can find those things to actually make you faster, And honestly, I'll say I'm more of a Jack than I am a Wolfgang, just because I just want to get in and drive mostly,
Right.
But I do know what to do to a certain extent. But for the most part, I'd just like to get in and drive and have somebody. I'd like to go watch the track, come back to the trailer, and be ready to jump in the thing, because I'm going to drive it into turn one the same way, whether it's set up this way or that way, So that's just the way it is.
Winner or wear it mentality?
Somewhat.
I think 20 years ago it was.
I think I've been there.
I know that fact. 2001 first win. Now 13 years later, you picked up the championship finally. I mean, that had to be something that you've always wanted, and you got it done finally.
Yeah, we had the 1980 track championship trophy on our mantle for all those years, and it was a 410 championship.
Right.
Don't get me wrong,
Right.
A little different, but I'd say in the scheme of things, it probably wasn't much different compared to the 360 class now, compared to how sprint car has evolved and how tough it is week in and week out here. Giant goal achieved. I didn't know if that ever happened. I mean, there's only so many years this place has been around, and there's not very many champions when you look back. So, a huge honor to do that, and took a lot of work and a lot of luck, and had good car, good motor, good crew. Just things worked out that year. Sometimes they don't. Actually, the year before, I thought we were a faster car. We just actually Clint Garner beat us, but he spun out. He broke a rear end or something like that, or he spun out, and we just caught him with our left rear, and I think right before nationals. And if we'd have missed that, if you calculate the points up, we'd have won that year.
Sure.
I mean, not to say the championship would have played out the same that last night, but
Right.
we were actually, I thought, a faster car in 13, and that just happened to, we rolled into 14 with that, and it just kind of carried over.
Was it just the next year then after that in 14, not to bring up bad memories, but it seemed like that anytime something, maybe 15 or 16, I can't remember, anytime something happened on the track, you didn't necessarily cause it, but boy, it sure collected you like every time.
Yeah, 15 we just didn't, couldn't hit our ass, and not that we were slow, like you said, we just, wrong spot, wrong time,
Right.
Things just didn't work out. Pretty soon, when you have such a good 14, everybody's, it's a big deal. Oh, you ran 6, what happened? It's like, we ran 6, we started 8th, we ran 6. Wasn't that big a deal, like,
Yeah.
Obviously we want to win, but it makes it tougher when you come off that year. And I think we ended up third in points still, which
Right.
you look at it now,
You look at the competition, third Knoxville's good.
yeah, it was like we were still there, we had a couple features where we passed for the lead, and then the yellow came out. We could have just as easily won 3 features that year. We won 1. And so, I was going to say, did we even win 1 that year? I think we did.
Don't rely on my memory.
Yeah, I don't
I'd be
know.
lying if I told you that.
I don't know.
So.
But, it was just, and then 16 and 17 just weren't good years. We were down on power, and it was just, we were qualifying 15th and 16th every night, and that just doesn't work at Knoxville.
Right.
It's just, you might as well load it up some of those nights once you've qualified, and you'll be like, well, best we can do here is start 15th in the feature, and it's hard enough to win one from the front row or top 3 rows, let alone 15th, so you just kind of spin your wheels.
You and John Egan last year, let's go back there, and I think I said it in the interview even, that every lap, every corner, we were just waiting for the big one, because you two are very competitive. You both have a history of being in the wrong place at the wrong time and getting collected, and now you're wheel to wheel. You guys are battling out there. Was that the best race you were ever involved in? Maybe not for money or anything like that. I'm just talking about the competition level.
Yeah, that obviously John's a great racer, and if John would have stayed out of the bad luck, he should have a championship. Week in and week out, some of the times he's the fastest car on the track.
Right.
All the time in the heat races, he's the fastest car on the track. He just gets caught up in stuff, and it was a great race. Like, neither of us gave up, and that's the deal. Like, we both had good pieces, and it just as easily could have caught some lap cars the other way, and John could have ran off the last 5 laps. But I just think, I think we were just there at the end, and just kept digging and never gave up, and it was fun.
Did you guys talk after the race?
Oh yeah, he came over and gave me a big, kind of a bear hug, kind of put me in a headlock there, just kind of kidding around. But
yeah.
Me and John get along. We're friends, so yeah, obviously he'd have loved to have it, and I'm glad we got it. But yeah, it was a great race. Yeah, but we almost banged wheels there at the beginning, or maybe we banged wheels, and that was probably my fault. But it there in the middle, he threw a pretty nasty slider on me, so it was kind of like even up, and neither of us took each other out, but we were dang close. But it's like some of those times. Matt Morrow's kind of the same way. I grew up racing Matt and Josh Higday, and I mean, we'll throw sliders on each other like that we'd probably wreck everybody else, but it just happens to be like we can come over, and half the time after the races, Matt will come over and I'll put my dukes up and be like, "You ready?" And he's like, "Oh no, I just want to tell you how much fun that was. That's a great race." And so, the track's not the way it used to be. It used to be a lot more slide jobs, and the cars were looser, and it was actually kind of a little more fun then. So the days of that's kind of over a little bit. So that was that feature last year was kind of like that. There was a lot of that going. The track was nice and wide and racy, and it was fun.
Awesome. I like to hear stuff like that, and we'll see what happens this year. We got to get to the season first, but let's talk about tomorrow night. That's one of the reasons we're here. You guys are doing your fundraiser again. What year is this? What annual fundraiser is this? You keep track? Or not? A lot.
A lot. That's it. Yeah, I mean, well over 10 years. We've been plugging away at it, and my wife Joanne, she puts a ton of work into it, and then we couldn't do it without thanking all the businesses that donate. And like I always say, like, if you see a certificate or you see anything that somebody's donated, please support that business, because if they don't support that business that supports the Knoxville Raceway and the racers, we got nothing here. So this thing could close up pretty quick. A lot of things are. So always want to support those businesses that support us, and that's a big deal. And Joanne puts a lot of work in all year. As soon as this one's over, starting Monday, it'll be 2021's fundraiser. Will be, it doesn't stop. So we have, a garage that she doesn't get to park in all the way, because we're collecting stuff, and we have stuff for the fundraiser, and it just takes all year to collect the stuff and do it right. And she I'll say she puts on the best one. I mean, she does. She puts on a nice fundraiser, and she has lots of good stuff, and she leaves it on me to cater to the guys, because I think she caters to the ladies a lot.
Sure.
And so and I think that's what a lot of them appreciate about our fundraisers. A lot of good stuff for everybody. It's just spread out. Whether you're a race fan, whether you're not a race fan, she's got something for everybody.
Dyer Hudson tomorrow night. What time doors open up for that deal?
Doors open at 5.
Okay.
From 5 to 6 is kind of the meal time.
Okay.
We got a taco bar going, and we got $10 to get in.
Okay.
$5 bottomless cup this year is what we're doing.
Nice.
So it's going to be a Beaver Motorsports cup. Keep the cup. Drink as much as you can handle. Stay safe.
Careful.
Stay safe. And yeah, she's going to have some sangria. She's going to have some mixed drinks and stuff. All that included in that $5 bottomless cup.
Nice.
A little bit for everybody. If you don't like beer, you like sangria, like a mixed drink. So until that runs out, which I think I don't think the beer's going to run out.
I'm going to say challenge accepted here almost,
yeah.
right?
I don't think the beer's going to run out, but yeah, it should be a good event. We got a lot of good stuff. We're kind of over there getting ready now, getting set up. So get the food cooked up, and taco bar should be good. Chicken and beef and beans and the whole works. And who doesn't like a taco?
No doubt about it. Question for you. Kids racing this year too?
I don't want to say we've downsized, but with the kids getting older, I've kind of threw it in their court.
And they're in sports too. I mean,
they're in sports too.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, it's kind of I have carts there for them.
Okay.
And if they want to go racing, I always said it's kind of on your own. Take your friends, go have fun, enjoy it. Because honestly, when I go racing with the kids, it's not fun. We're there to win. It's not as much fun. It used to be,
right.
But it is competitive sport. It's a lot of, take the parents out of anything, and sports are way more fun. I think, I think mow down all the bleachers at the Little League fields, and kids would have a ball, but that's just me. they are, they're kind of there. I think they're going to hit and miss. I don't think we're running for points anywhere. I don't think we're doing that, So that's kind of where the Beaver Motorsports karting's at. It's there, and I even like to jump in one at the end of the year for every once in a while. So it's kind of fun. We can all do it together.
You started out, like you said, up at Newton when you were kart racing. Yep. But are you surprised at how many drivers race here at Knoxville Raceway that came out of English Creek?
Yeah, I mean,
there's at 1 year when I think it might have been when 2010 maybe. I think that was about the time that Carson McCarl started. Jamie Ball was in there also. A lot of the guys. I think I counted 22 drivers that actually raced English Creek 5 years prior to that.
Yeah, no, I can believe that, and that's not even counting Newton Kart Club or Camera or any of those racetracks to where, well, maybe the kids didn't go to sprint cars, maybe they went to modified. I mean, you go to the go-kart track out here and run league night, you'll race against some of the best racers in the country.
Right.
That they're there dinking around on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's really good racers around here, whether it's a sprint car, modified, whatever. There's just this is a big area for racing, and to have the go-kart tracks funnel into that and keep this thing going. Some people love it, some people hate the pro sprint, but I think it's raised our numbers up, and I think it'll continue to raise our numbers up just with the cost of it staying and the longevity of things lasting the whole season. You're gonna have the same number of cars you had at the beginning, at the end, where before maybe it was motors were blowing up and running out of money to be there at the end. So I think that's a positive, and I think with the go-kart tracks going strong around here, I think that's a good thing. I mean,
I agree with you on the Pro Series. I think this year you're going to see stronger numbers in it. I think you're going to see stronger numbers again in your class in 360. And I wouldn't be surprised if 410-wise holds steady, if not increases numbers as well. So we'll have to see what happens there. You can't kick the cameras, though, all right?
Well, getting a little antsy.
All of a sudden, an earthquake. He's been sitting too long. We're going to let him go because he has to set up over here at the Dyer Hudson again tomorrow night. Make sure you guys come out and attend this event. This is an event that's going to happen tomorrow night. If you like tacos, show up. If you like drinking, show up. If you like buying things, get some good deals as well. We also want to mention a couple of things. Before we went on air, World of Outlaws have decided to postpone all events until April the 9th right now because of the coronavirus. I swore I wasn't going to talk about this thing, but because it's news, we have to tell about it. But everybody just kind of take a chill pill, relax on this thing. It's going to be all right. This whole panic that's being created right now, I'm not worried about it. Joe, I know, tomorrow night we're going to be there together, banging elbows and doing what we do. I mean, it's not a big deal to us, but it's a serious thing across the nation. But again, don't panic is all I'm saying, you guys. We will be broadcasting Dirt Digest, I almost messed up myself, KnoxvilleDirtDigest.com. It's a new name to get used to around here. We're going to start that every week, obviously starting this weekend. We'll go on recorded shows up until we get live events started on race night here at Knoxville Raceway. And then we will broadcast at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame Museum, second floor, every race night at Knoxville Raceway prior to the event. That show will start at 4:30 in the afternoons on Saturday. I'm Mike Roberts. We're back at it again. Joe, thanks for coming in.
You bet.
We'll see everybody next time.